Hey, yo, everybody, it is Voltage, and we are here with the Gen 7 tier list. Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Ultra Moon, Alola, however you want to look at it. Let's dive in. If you haven't seen the others, there's a card on top of your screen which will link you to the whole series of playlist. And remember, each of these tier lists is a two-parter. This is part 1, which is the tier list itself. Part 2 is a Pokerogue run using the S tiers in the Glorious Kings category. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and check in tomorrow for the Pokerogue video. Now let's talk about the rankings real fast for anybody who's new. As you can see, we have S for Glorious Kings, my all-stars, my GOATs. They're Pokemon I love fully. I have zero complaints. They're in legend status. A, I may not have complaints, and I love them a lot, but they're just not quite enough to be in Glorious Kings. They are almost GOATs. Very close, but not quite. B's, no strong feelings. They're just in the middle for one reason or another, or their positives and negatives kind of outweigh each other. C is sort of bad, definitely in a dislike territory, but not nearly as bad as D, which I named Dog, but given that I don't want to use its real name for at least 10 minutes in the video, instead we'll call it Destroy It with Fire. I usually hate those mon pretty viscerally, so I do think that Destroy It with Fire is a safer way to put that, right? Anyway, let's get into the actual rankings here. So first things first, let's start with the starters. Oh, disclaimers. You can see this list uses the sprites versions of them. I will tell you right now, that's going to make a lot of these Pokemon a little bit better because I heavily favor the sprite art style over the 3D. Though the other alternative would be the Bulbapedia images, which probably wouldn't hurt either. So thumbs up here. Let's go. Now, first is Rowlet. Now, really when it comes to the starters, Rowlet's arguably my toughest. I think I can safely say where these two go. Rowlet, I think, unfortunately does make A. I really do like this line, but I don't think I've ever had an experience with it that would truly elevate it to Glorious King status. The main reason being is that I haven't had a good enough experience with Decidueye itself. So the normal starters and the middle stages usually count for something for me very nicely, but the real peak for a starter lineup and most general lines, if you've noticed, it's very commonly the final form that holds the biggest amount of weight to me. It's what you're waiting the longest for. It's the reward at the end of the tunnel. It's supposed to be the thing, you know, that you're here for. And as such, Decidueye is really good, but he's not quite Glorious King. He has been stuff like Pokemon Unite, which unfortunately held him back a little bit. I haven't seen him in any other side games, which really helped give me the experience I need. So in the future, maybe he'll get higher, but as of now, I think he's an A. But then we get our first Glorious King of the list, Litten, Torcat, and Incineroar. Now, you know, shout out to Wolfie. I feel like every time Incineroar is mentioned in the Pokemon community at all, Wolfie's the one who comes up because, I mean, if you watch Wolfie, you know. But Incineroar, before I even knew how crazy he was with the addition of his hidden ability and the like, I really did like this one. This is my starter. You guys know I love fire types. You also may know, if you've seen the previous list, that I love dark types. Put that together and we have something crazy. To me, someone might shoot me for this, but I would say that this is Houndoom done better. Even though I do like Houndoom, I love Incineroar. I love the wrestler thing he has going on. I love a lot of his moves like Darkest Lariat. I do love Intimidate in that he's a crazy Pokemon and competitive. I love his typing. I love his design. Some people do criticize the fact that he's bipedal. I've never cared for that in any of the Mon. Like, to me, it never bothers me when a four-legged Mon goes bipedal. I think that's more of a vocal minority thing if I really had to guess. I don't think most of you care that much, but maybe I'm wrong. In any case, I don't care, so he makes it up there. And then we have Poplio. You're also difficult now that I think about it. I was originally pretty solid on you, but I'm actually going to put them in B. This is probably the first ever starter. Is this the first ever starter I've put in B? Probably. This might give me some hate, so please don't click off, man. But let me explain myself. Poplio himself is okay, but I have no strong feelings. He's, you know, he's a cute little seal. Maybe you could argue him an A, but then you get to Brione, and that's like, that thing is kind of ugly. I'm not gonna lie. And it doesn't really do anything unique at all. And then there's Primarina, who is good, and I like that. But I haven't used it nearly enough, and it's just a starter that, to me, I would never really want to pick. And if you ask me to explain, it's hard, because I also, if you know, I have Delphox in S tier from the last video. And they seem like similar brands to me, but I feel like the fire, well, one fire type definitely helps. The fire psychic type, to me, is way cooler than the water fairy. which also exists on a legendary in the same gen, which we'll talk about later from the Tapus. I mean, to me, when I think of this thing, I think of a tanky, solid attacking mon with Moonblast, but I really don't see much more than that, and unfortunately, it just doesn't get any strong feelings out of me. The starters definitely are kind of like worth a good start of time. So let's get into the meat and potatoes, and this deck is actually bigger than I remember. Oh, because there's all the regionals too, yeah. Okay, so Picky Peck's line. I'll put you in A. Unfortunately, you're not a bird I love nearly enough to put in S. When I think of my other S birds, you're definitely not there. But no hate. I think the line is a very good example of an Evo. I do love Toucanon, the bird that it's based on. And Beak Blast, although it kind of sucks, is pretty cool to me. I overall do like this mon. Pretty sure I did use it on my first playthrough. And while it sometimes can be disappointing in how good it actually is, I still like it. This thing is a rat. I don't like it at all. Actually, you can go with D. I really didn't think many, like Gen 7, I don't have as many experiences with to put in the D tier for too many. That might change when I really look at them. But Young Goose, the thing that solidifies him in D, I think he was in C for sure. I would never want to use this mon. I don't like it. The funniest thing about it is that it has like the Donald Trump correlation with its second form. But what really seals the deal is that this thing is annoying as hell in Pokerogue. Annoying as hell. It hits way harder than it should for the era that you find it in. It's not that tanky, but it is kind of ish fast. Like, it's just like a real pest. I don't know if it's just in my head, but every time I run into this thing, it's just a pain in my ass. I never want to use it. I never want to fight it. I just if it was removed, I would feel joy. So yeah, you get destroyed with fire. Then this guy. This is going to be one of those cases like in Gen 4's video where I'm going to put you in S and say that you're kind of on a wish list mon. Now here's the deal. There are a lot of times where I have the chance to use this Pokemon and I don't and choose it over something else. I don't want to diss the mon itself. It's just the fact that bug Pokemon tend to have better options commonly. I did run this Pokemon in my first playthrough and I really love Vikavolt. You know that I have a bias towards electric types. I strongly do. This electric bug is pretty cool, all things considered, and I really just want to use him more. He's similar to those Gen 4 goats where I don't have enough experiences, but my bias is enough to really put him in Glorious King, especially compared to this gen. Yes. I did not realize you would be this high. I think it's because you're easy to find, Crabrawler, but then Crabominable is, like, you don't get him till, like, the League at the end of the game. But I actually am also going to put you in S. I really do love Crabominable. I had good experiences using one. I did actually try it out when I was able to use it. Caught one like right before the League and used it. If I remember correctly, when I played the original Sun and Moon, I really love ice fighting as a type. I know ice sucks, but I really like ice types despite them being bad. I think it's very fun. I had an iconic experience in a Pokemon tabletop game I played where Crabominable was such a prime character in an arc. A lot of those experiences and times have very deep meaning to me. For a number of reasons. Maybe that's a story time for the future. If any of y'all ever want to hear about that like whole campaign thing, it'd be one hell of a video. But it was fun, and Crabominable was definitely a big part of that. So he gets up there off some bias. And then, wow, let's get some hate here. D, 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 and D. Now, when I looked up for a second, a part of me was thinking I was going to put in C, and this is crazy. We're this far in. I have 0 in C, and this many in D. It's been a couple positive videos, but I don't like this bird at all. None of them. I do think it's somewhat cool that they're all like different types, but it's something we've seen before, where there's like these different variants that are different. To me, it's kind of like the Rotom thing, but way worse. I don't like their whole dance theme either. They are decent enough to be a pest, but not really good enough to use. And I feel like I should like this mon more, but I think it's just that they flat out suck. That holds me back. I think they're trash. And if I'm wrong about this, correct me. This is not necessarily saying competitive. It's also just like in the games in general. Like, I never run Orisorio, nor do I ever want to. It's the same thing with this guy. It's an annoyance to me that I never actually want to use. At best, its random event can be interesting at times in Pokerogue now, but like in main games, in ROM hacks, I don't want anything to do with it, really. And following this, more hate, Rabombi and Cutie Fly. I know some people will argue the cute points, and if you do, that's valid. I'm not hating on that. Other than that, I don't care for the Bug Fairy. I think this thing is pretty bad. It's like a debuffer, which doesn't really, even if it's good for being a debuffer and like competitive, it doesn't really hold much weight for me. Again, really deep summarized in. I hate to fight it. Well, okay, I don't hate to fight this one, really. It's just that I really don't want to ever use it. I'd rather use anyone on this list before any of the birds or Yungoos. I'd rather use before I bring out this thing. And I'd probably choose damn near almost every bug over it, even like Ledyba and Ledyann, just because I think they're cooler than Cutiefly or Bombi, even though they're garbage. So I think that says something, right? I think that says something. Next may surprise people. We got Rockruff. I am actually going to put you in Glorious Kings. This Pokemon is disappointingly bad. To me, it is so disappointingly bad, I really do think if I was being as harsh as possible, it could drop down to C. But I can't get over how much I love this Pokemon. It's terrible, and I'm really upset that it is, but I don't blame Dewan so much as I blame Game Freak. The fact that this thing has 3 different Evos, which aren't different Pokemon like Eevee, but it's kind of like Baby Eevee Jr., where it makes these 3 different versions of Lycanroc. I do think we could have done more with these, maybe given them secondary typings that are different, made them all better. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out that way. But the 3 different designs are all pretty cool, especially in sprite form. I'll add is helping this bias. And Lycanroc Midnight, when I saw this thing, I knew I wanted it on my team so bad. Funny enough, my Rockruff evolved into a different one because I didn't know it was time-based at the time. I know it's right in the name, but, you know. I believe I used the first bland one. But I've always loved all 3, and despite the fact that they're so bad, I just can't help but want to use this Pokemon. I love it. I love its design. I love the dog-wolf thing going on. I've realized in time that dogs, well, obviously I love dogs, but wolves are very high up there in my favorite animals. Not my number 1. If you see some of the other videos, you may know that's a monkey. But they are close. They may even be second at this point. Who knows? Think about my favorite animals, you know, but I love it. So, there they go. Wishy-Washy, I'm going to put you in A. Because I thought this thing was really cool back in the day. I really liked Wishy-Washy, and I really enjoyed using it too. It's not really as crazy like that I'd run it in recent times as it used to be, but I thought the idea of them all schooling together and having this gigantic fish monster that's such a goat until you knock it to like a quarter of HP and it goes down. Like, I always thought that was really cool, really fun, unique idea that I appreciate in Sun and Moon. It's not quite in GOAT status in Glorious Kings because, you know, I haven't really been able to get a great experience. But one really good game where I'm using them there or a Pokeroad run, and this thing could elevate to S for sure. Then we have this Pokemon. I'm putting you in sort of bad. I know there are people who love Toxapex and Marini, I believe is its name. I know there are people who love this. And I'm not saying it's bad. I know it's insane and competitive. I know it can be even useful in normal runs, I guess, if you want that debuffer. I just hate its playstyle. I hate fighting it. And its type is really annoying, which is also part of that. But I can respect its game, which is why it's in C and not D. I guess I've matured on this because I've used it a couple of times in some games. And I get it. I just don't like it. So it's still in C. Mudbray, I'm going to put you here in Mudsdale as well. There are some good, some bad. I think Mudbray is ugly as yeah, we're 13%. Yeah, he's ugly as shit. You heard me. Go look at the timer fast. I like you, but I never really get that much out of you. I really feel like Mudsdale, I love stamina, and I feel like I've always thought that ability is so crazy, and it never lives up to the hype. So while I don't put you in sort of bad or short with fire, I don't have enough. Like, they kind of cancel out to put you down here in B. Here's another one I'm a big fan of, Dupeter and Araquanid. See, I think the fact that there are 2 bugs I really love in this region is another reason why I hate Rapampi, because this thing sucks. Vikavolt and Araquanid, I love both very much. I think that Guzma's Araquanid is so cool. Not Araquanid. He does use it. He does use Araquanid. It's not his, like, starter. He uses Gliscopod. But I believe he's, like, the first main Araquanid you see in the game. Like, that's one of his Pokemon. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I did catch Dupeter and got this Evo, and I'm like, damn, I like it. It's, to me, what Surskit should be. You know I hate Surskit. But when I saw this guy, I'm like, yes. They took the same concept, and they did it a bajillion times better. Hell yes, Araquanid, I'd love to use you in a run. Fomantis and Lurantis, you make a solid A. I have no hate, no negative. The only thing is that there's a Pokemon who is kind of your counterpart who outdoes you by a lot. We'll talk about that later, but I love a Pokemon. A Pokemon based around Leaf Blade is an immediate way into my heart. It's not nearly as cool as, say, Sceptile, but Fomantis is a cute, solid first form Grassmon. This, like, scythe-wielding, what is it called? Praying Mantis, that's grass type, not a bug. Still very interesting, though. I dig it. I like it. I have no complaints, so thumbs up. You make it to A. Just not quite GOAT status, but you're probably right around Decidueye in that same territory, right under. Decidueye, I mean, he's so close, because I love Ghost type. Grass Ghost is sick. He is so close to hitting a higher territory, but unfortunately, he falls just short. Then we have Morlul and Shiinotic. Sort of bad as well. I'm not going to say hate because they're not really that hard to deal with, but this thing is a very nothing Pokemon to me that I also actively dislike. I sometimes would just forget it exists as a whole, even though I do remember its name very easily, and I wouldn't really ever want to catch it. You could make the case that I'd still even use a Yungoos over it, to be fair, but the thing is I have a reason to viscerally hate Yungoos. I don't quite have that for Shiinotic, so it kind of just securely puts in C, but I'm not a fan. So Landit, you get an A, and so does Salazzle. I actually really do like this Mon. Poison Fire to me is very sick, and I do enjoy a fast, hard hitter, as you know. The biggest thing that holds it back is I think the whole gender thing behind it is very stupid. Trying to get a D, it's not even, okay, if this was like a God Mon, let's say a slacking level Mon. If this was a Mon that was that crazy with its low percentage of getting a female one, and then you do hunt down the female one and you evolve it, that'd be great. The problem is that's not really common, especially if this Mon's ever available. I tend to do Nuzlocke on almost every game because I like the challenge. Normal Pokemon's not really challenging me anymore. I pretty much always do Nuzlocke, and Salandit is pretty much useless because you gotta get really lucky to actually find a female one, if you find one at all. Now, in Rogue, I've never used it, but even in, you know, Sun and Moon, I don't like it enough to hunt down one. But when I already get one, like in random battles, or I see an opportunity to use one, I'm a big fan. I do like it. I do like the Evo. It's just that I think the mechanic behind getting it is kind of interesting for a flavor perspective, but really annoying from a gameplay one. I think that's fair to say. Next, we have Beware. Now, Beware, also surprisingly, I'm putting in Glorious Kings. So, let's also zoom. We're at the point where I can zoom it out like one step. So, Glorious King here, Beware. I've always thought this Mon was, on appearance alone, the kind of Pokemon I wouldn't really enjoy all that much if we're being as fair as possible. But surprisingly, shockingly, however you want to look at it, I honestly have always loved it. I do think that I really enjoy Drain Punch on the guy. I like that it's this unsuspecting, almost like stuffed animal theme. Obviously Stuffle, right? This unsuspecting, very powerful Pokemon. I do think seeing it in the anime here and there, I didn't watch the Sun and Moon anime as much as I maybe should have watched it from what I hear from fans of it. I did enjoy its whole appearance. Every time it appeared, it was very impressive, very fun. I don't know, it's one of those Pokemon that weirdly has a spot in my tops, maybe the weirdest of all of them so far, but I'm just a Beware fan, what can I say? The next one definitely here is Bonsweet Steenie, I believe is your name, and my goat, Serena. Now, why do I love this Pokemon? I'll tell you in 2 words. Pokemon Unite. I used to play Pokemon Unite a lot. I mentioned it, I think, back during Multi. You guys did say maybe some videos on that may come in the future. Definitely may still do those, especially if, like, the next Unite anniversary or something like that. But I was playing Unite for a very long time back in my freshman year of college. And I used to play it with my whole friend group. Sometimes we had like 4, sometimes 5, sometimes a whole team. It was great. It was lots of fun. And there was just a big group of us who really loved this game. And Serena was the undisputed queen of the game back then. And I used her for a very long time. She was my main, and I grew on her so strongly. I started using her in the games and the like too. It just really elevated my opinion on her, and I had so many good memories playing with them, and such a good time using Serena, all things considered. Unfortunately, it did receive the notable nerf that was coming. It took a very long time, but they nerfed it, and it never recovered. Serena was done. Its reign was over. It was bad. So I don't hurt Serena for that. It was definitely coming. It was like a fall of a king. You know, the sun always sets on the era of majesty, but it was enough that it made me love Serena's whole line, and as such, it takes a nice solid place in S. Then we have this. Now, by the way, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It is like 4 something in the morning. I'm recording this. I got a busy day tomorrow and had a busy day today. Let's just say, what's the best of days? So if my name slipped this time, forgive me. Comfy is your name, right? Yeah, Comfy. So Comfy, I don't know why I'm teetering around here. You're in, honestly, D. If I'm gonna put Rabombi down here, you're in D2. Just another kind of bland fairy type I would never want to use. If anyone has it higher, it's probably because of cuteness. I don't think there's anything else about this Pokemon that's going to make you put it any higher than just the fact that you think it's cute. And that means you weigh cute more than me, and that's perfectly okay. I don't. This is a nothing Pokemon I never want to have to use, ever. And I think it just flat out sucks so bad. I dislike it a lot. Destroy it with fire, there'd be no harm done if the thing was removed from existence. Let's just say that. Oranguru, you are in B. You're also in B. Passimian. I have no strong feelings. Literally, like when you talk about like a standard for B, there's these two. And the more I look at it, the more I'm tempted. I may end up lifting Primarina. But almost goats, no strong feelings. After everything I said about them, and I'm looking at who's beside them, I'm like, you know what? Let's bump them up. You know what? A-. They're the lowest of A, if I had to pick. The lowest. Decidueye is like A+, they're like A-. It's a gap. But do I really feel like I have no strong feelings? No, the more I look at them, the more I'm like, well, I would enjoy using them definitely more than anyone lower than this. Yeah, they can get elevated. These two, yeah, pretty bland. I mean, they're cool enough, but they kind of fall into some of the Unova criticisms I have, where like there are other Mon who kind of represent these tropes better. I do like that they're counterparts, but the fact that I have no Evos, no specialties, and they themselves aren't that good is kind of rough. I know Oranguru's pretty notorious for Instruct, but that's not enough to give it really any weight for me, so it's taking its spot. Wimpod and Golisopod, yes, I mentioned this. I was talking about Araquanid earlier, but I love this Pokemon too. Even though they both step on each other's toes a little bit with the bug water thing, it's kind of interesting that we have them both here. I really love Golisopod's design. That thing is so raw, so cool. It's amazing. In the anime it looks so good, in the games it looks so good. Sprite, 3D, it is a phenomenal design. The only thing is like, the whole emergency exit thing, that is buns. I actually don't know if he has a hidden ability that's not emergency exit. I guess he doesn't, but we'll see. Though certainly if we could get rid of that, Golisopod's rocking a little more for me. Next, these guys. Now, I believe it was Snapperoni who made me use these guys. I might be wrong. I have to double check which of you. Remember, it's very late, but much love to all of you, my viewers, my commenters, my goats. I will put you in B. You know what? Not you, but you know what, Palosan, you make it to A. I had a video, again, I believe it was Snapperoni who suggested for me to use this guy. I remember I dissed Palosan in a video, and he left a comment that he wanted me to use it and give it more of a shot. So, I did, and I was relatively impressed. It's not I mean, it did okay. It did okay. Is it enough to make me put it up? Yeah, I see some potential here. I see what we can do. Shadow Ball, Earth Power, decently, tanky. So, you can get in that A- tier too. You're in the A- tier as well. I think that's fair. I think you're close enough, thanks to one of you guys. So, you know what? Take it. Pyukumuku, I mean, you've heard me talk about this thing in Pinkerton before. You're better than Pinkerton, but you're both still in D. I hate those Pokemon, and I will die on that hill. You convince me on stuff like Palosan, you're not convincing me on Pyukumuku. I'm good. Now, here's one I want to talk about. Type Null in Silph Valley. I'm putting this in D. This might shock people. It shocks me. I've thought about C, and maybe if I'm being a little less harsh, I put it in C, but I really don't like this thing's existence. It feels like it was very underutilized. Why is it a legendary or mythical, status mon? I don't know. It feels like an Arceus Jr. that really just fails to do that. Like, it's kind of like in a very big of a stretch way. It's kind of like the Mewtwo to, well, you know, the Mewtwo Mew relationship for Arceus and type Null and Silvally and all that. I don't know, man. I hear people talk about this thing and they share similar opinions. Not where I think they might rate it in D, but like, Pokemon might just be better without this thing in it. And if it did disappear, there'd be no real difference other than, like, you know, the story of Sun and Moon if you care about, like, Gladion. But, like, that's it. I don't know. I'm not a fan at all, especially as an Arceus fan. It's just stepping on its toes way too much for me. Minior, I'll put you in B. I used to really like it, and then it kind of disappointed me a number of times. I started not liking it. I do love its design and its appearance and the way it, like, kind of, like, shatters through its shield and it gets, like, fast and strong, or else it's, like, bulky in the first one. You know, I can get behind that, but it's not quite enough to put me high or low. But the lore behind it and some uses I've had, like in that tabletop, secure you from going into C, but you're close. Kamala, you unfortunately are a Pokemon I'd place in C. Not bad, not great, not one I'd ever want to use, so I kind of dislike you for that. Can be kind of annoying when done right, and ooh, Radical Red really hurt you. You're in C, maybe D if I count Radical Red. You guys haven't seen that episode yet, and I need to get the time down with G-Freak to, like, get all that ready, but anyway, you'll see it soon enough if you care to watch us go through our Soul Lock again. Most of you probably don't know what that is, you'll see something like that in the future. Turtonator, C, because as much as I want to like, well, B. Biased based on your typing, but you disappoint me a lot, and I never really see much special out of you, but you're also just a little bit of a pest to deal with. But I'm biased to the typing, and the design is solid that you make it to B, but you're one bad day away from dropping to the negatives. One bad day. Togedemaru, get your annoying ass in C for sure. Pika Clone, you already know I'm not a big Pika Clone guy unless they're really exceptional. I'm not a big fan of that. I do like his Steel type. I do like Spike Barbs. I do think he's got some stuff that definitely keeps him out of D, or Iron Barbs, but that's really also annoying every time I fight one of these guys. Nothing makes me happier than having a ground move or ground type on me and obliterating this thing off my screen, but if I don't, sometimes it can be a really annoying pest. It's also, like, I get some people think it's cute being this, like, fat steel ball thing. I don't, so no. He's okay, but I don't think he's cuter than most of the Pika clones. Like, I'm taking Plusle and Minun cute-wise over this thing any day, and I hate those guys. Oh, Mimikyu. Yeah, let's not be different. S tier. This Pokemon was a delicious idea by the Pokemon company, by Game Freak and all that. It was great. It was great. So, do I have much to say that hasn't been said about Mimikyu? Not really. I love the ghost fairy type. That, to me, is a cool fairy. Very cool. I like its theme by being like a little mystery creature that just has Pikachu under there. I love when people design, especially Infinite Fusion, they do some Mimikyu fusions where when it's fused something else, it's a Mimikyu wearing the thing's costume. I love that. Love that. So, very cool concept. It's not really a Pika clone at all, but I do think that if this was what a Pika clone was going to be, I'd love it. That's very sick, very original. Bruxious, get your ugly dog ass down in D. I hate this thing. Everyone knows it sucks. Yeah, you can spam a little bit of Psychic Fangs. You'll listen on. I do not care. This thing is hideous buns. And while I feel like the Psychic should help, the whole Water Psychic thing has been done since Gen 1. I don't care for it again. You're not really holding much weight for me. This guy, Drampa, shockingly, I mean, he's a dragon normal, but like, his designs always felt a little like mid to me as a dragon type. He's not a Pokemon I've ever really wanted to use. It's a Pokemon I don't like fighting, though, actively. I did have one involved in that same tabletop, which I found to be very interesting to use. It was owned by a character and organization I liked a lot, a kind of villain team, if you will, kind of-ish, a long story. It was kind of cool as an enemy mon, but that's the thing. It works as an enemy, but it's not a mon I really like or want to use, and as such, I'm not going to rate it too highly. Next is Delmise. Unfortunately, you also fall in C. It's a mon that I have never really wanted to use. Its lack of an Evo definitely hurts for me. It's kind of unique in its typing, which I do appreciate. And if I'm going to put turn, I mean, I guess you can stretch and like kind of B minus, but it's like really in between these two. I think it's just the uniqueness of its typing and design that really can secure it in No Strong Feelings, because they kind of, you know, cancel out the good and the bad a little bit. But I don't like it enough. Like, it's really B minus, C plus. If, you know, consider it kind of in between the two. You get it. Goat Raw. I love pseudos most of the time. They didn't miss with this dude. Dragon fighting is so sick to me. When I saw this mon revealed, it was like I knew immediately I wanted to run it. I wanted to have it. I needed this Pokemon. I love it every time I get the chance to use it, even if he's not the best. I love him, and I didn't get to use him through my run because I just don't think I evolved him in time or whatever when I originally played the game. But every time since I got the chance to use this guy, I definitely take it because I'm a huge fan. Now that brings us to a plethora of legendaries, mythicals, Ultra Beast. Before we get into all of them, we're going to do the other variants to give you a little more suspense. I know this is probably the section a lot of you are waiting for, whether it's the variants you're interested in or the legends. So, stick to the end. But if you enjoyed the list so far and you're still here, consider subscribing and joining the Voltage crew. Now let's get into some more meat and potatoes, shall we? So next is Alola Executor, who doesn't even fit. He is just a neck. Grass Dragon I like. He can be decently strong sometimes, but not quite enough for S, but definitely close. Almost Goats is fitting for you. Marowak, hell yes, even if it's not necessarily the best mon. Turning Marowak, who I already liked a lot, into a Ghost Fire type with some solid moves and giving him some shine, hell yes, you make it to S. Rattata, I do like you better than Raticate. I like the dark typing. I think it does a lot for you. Well, I like the Rattata better than Rattata. I actually like the other Raticate's design better, but I like the dark here, so it's kind of similar. But, oh, whoa, S. Hold on, that was a misclick. You're supposed to be an A. Solid, no real complaints. I like them. Then we have Alolan Raichu. You easily make S. Psychic, Electric, I thought was super cool. Pikachu getting, or not Pikachu getting love, but Raichu getting love was super fun to me. I love that he's kind of like doing the Psychic Surf on his tail, which is a reference to Pikachu surfing, of course. And he was very strong. I really liked this Pokemon when he debuted, and I've liked him since. I think he's very cool to pick up a lot of the time. The rare occasions I actually get to use him. Alolan Sandshrew and Alolan Sandslash. Now this one is a little tricky for me. A little tricky. I'm torn between A and S. And I'll probably have to say A for right now. The reason being, although they're close, and this hurts because if I was thinking about the Rogue video, I'd want them up there. But I just haven't had the chance to use them and be good. Ice and Steel, they get dogged on very often. I have dogged them myself many a time. And while I do think they're an insane type combo for Pokerogue, I haven't actually gotten to use them yet, and that's not changing now. As sick as he is like A+, just barely off of my wish list. And I feel like if I were to put him in there, I'd really be doing it for the Pokerogue video more than my own genuine opinion. And as such, as close as he barely falls short. Vulpix, and same thing here. This is a great Pokemon for Rogue. But once again, unfortunately, they just fall slightly short because I love them. I think the Ice Fairy on Vulpix is very unique, very original, very mystical. I love all of that for both these guys. It's just I haven't had the experience with them to truly elevate them to S, and they're not quite on my wish list high enough, I can argue putting them there. The Diglett, I know some people meme about this guy. I think his hair is ugly. And I do like the steel typing, but again, ugly. I don't really want to use it, wouldn't be trying to use it, so really no strong feelings, but not really in the dislike category by any means. Yeah, same here. No strong feelings on you. Worse than Persian, but the dark typing is a positive for me. It's mid. It'd be some kind of okay to use, but I definitely wouldn't really be looking to or want to. You also probably heard my voice kind of die a second ago. You can see I've been yapping for quite a while, so I'm leaving that in, man. You might enjoy that. You might enjoy that. Two more. Unfortunately, I gotta put you in B. I think that holds me back because I really don't like this guy's design at Golem. I've tried to for years. I really want to because I really like Golem, and I love that it's now electric, but he just couldn't win me over the way I want him to. I want to like him more than I actually like the whole Alolan Geodude line. So they're in B. I don't hate him because the electric type helps, and the design's not necessarily bad to me. It's just not good, and it's worse than my iconic original Geodude line, so yeah. And then Grimer and Muck. I actually put you in A. I did use Muck. I didn't think I can rate it safely as an S tier, unfortunately. Yo, fighting my voice dying again. But I did enjoy using it when I did, and I'm tempted just because it's one of my OGs. You know what, man? A little bit of bias. I really do like its design a lot, which is really what I want to use as my excuse. The kind of like rainbow sludge is very fun. The poison dark type, interesting that a lot of them were either dark or ice when they got their variants. But he was one of my original team members through Sun and Moon. I did take him to the league. I did win the league with him. He's not that good or anything, but he's just got a special place in my heart because he was one of my originals. He was the variant I actually used. I don't think I used any of the other Alolan variants in my run, surprisingly. I could be wrong because it's been a number of years. I remember I was in middle school. I remember going after school to the GameStop where I pre-ordered it to pick up the game and being so hyped to finally get my hands on it after school, ready for the weekend. It came out on like a Friday. It was great, man. It was so exciting. I was very hyped for Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon is not one of my favorite generations, I will say, this point in the video. It's not. I think Ultra Sun and Moon did a lot of work, but I never, fun fact, never actually fully played through or beat Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I know the stories and the crazy stuff because it's been so many years, but I never did. I lost interest thinking the games were very identical. I was, again, in middle school at the time. I think I was in 8th grade, if I could guess, maybe 7th. I had to double check. But I lost interest because I thought the games were like so identical. I'm like, what the hell? Me and G-Freak both did because we were kids playing through it together at the time. And that hurt my impression. I really wish that I had gotten the Ultra Ultra Moon experience. But yeah, all that to say, nostalgia is why he's in there. Bite me, right? And now we have this plethora of legends. Okay, let's see where we're placing these guys. So, Tapu Koko, you can make it to S. Electric Deity, Electric Fairy, super cool. Love the typing. Fun guy here. He was raw. He was the first, really. Like, when you think about the Tapus, he's kind of like the face of them. He's sick, so we give him an S securely. Fairy one, no strong feelings, real talk. Same with Tapu Bulu, who I've heard is not pretty bad. Tapu Fini can make it to A because I've heard this thing is really good, and it's the better Primarina, in my opinion, like by a long shot. So you get there off of reputation. These two are just pretty mid, and Tapu Koko is my goat. Cosmog, Cosmoem, and these guys, all, let's just break it to you, all S's. From a story, to a design, to a typing, to a strength. They cooked with these box legends, for sure, I would say. So Gallia and Lunala I thought were both very sick. I don't even know who I prefer. They're both very close to me. Just the fact that they're newer probably does put them lower than some of my iconic goats, like from Gen 1 and Gen 3 and Gen 4. But I put them over like Lugia and Ho-Oh, for instance, which is a pretty big deal because they're, nostalgic for me as well. So, very, very amazing mon. Very cool. And it only gets better when we get to some later on the list we'll talk about. Next is the Ultra Beast. So there's, this thing's name is slipping me. Nihilego, I believe is its name. Nihilego, you're actually going in B. It would have been an A. I'll tell you the only reason is because Pokorogue, Lusamine fight, this thing is so goddamn annoying to fight against. I haven't had experience to use it because I don't really use these in playthroughs that much. Let me take it on a run, you might see it go back up to A. But right now, my only recent experience with this thing is negative, despite me liking it. That's enough to lower it to B tier. Buzzwole, my goat, my Chad, my king. I always liked him as my favorite. Yeah, spoiler alert, he's my favorite of the Ultra Beast. And when they put him in Pokemon Unite, bro, oh my god, I love this dude. There's nothing like cooler than running around as a Buzzwole and just beating the hell out of your opponents. That was so sick. He unfortunately is like horrible in Pokorogue, like absolutely like dog shit terrible. His typing is disgustingly bad, especially against Rayquaza. He's getting annihilated by a single Hurricane without fail, and he's not really doing much to a Tornadus, but if he's part of a challenge, I can maybe find a way to use him. Sure, give it a shot. I think he's Pheromosa. This is like cockroach-based one. You get B just being based on a cockroach, I'm not gonna lie. But everything else about it is pretty cool. I believe it's well known for high jump kick, which is a move I like, despite me knowing it's toxic. It's a very toxic relationship. I like to press the button because I like to gamble on big damage. I know it's going to fail me. As such, you see where my opinion is. Now, despite my bias, Xurkitree could just never hit it like that. Xurkitree could just never hit the same tier that Buzzwole could. It's good, it's cool as an electric type, and I really want a good experience with it to maybe see if it's got the potential to progress into Glorious King territory. But for now, he's an almost GOAT. I want to love him more than I do, but I gotta be fair, I don't love him that much. Then Celesteela. Celesteela, I'd put in B. No strong feelings, no hate, no love. It can be kind of annoying because of its typing, Steel Flying. I never really feel like it's that good offensively, though. You know, it's just, Kartana, you're also here. Maybe an A. You're kind of similar to Zucatry, where I like your design. I like what you're thematically supposed to be and do. But I don't have an experience with you to really see it. And when I hear rumors about Kartana, I don't hear good rumors. So, again, the whole Leaf Blade thing I mentioned earlier with you. So, you know, maybe a run would change that in the future. But for now, yeah, a little rough. Guzzlord, you're also an S. You know what? I really do love Guzzlord. He's not my favorite, but he's really cool. Great experiences. I've used him in story related for the campaign I mentioned before, the tabletop. I do love his typing and love his design. He is this just freakish monster. Now, the way he sounds in the anime, though, ooh, the massacre of my boy is like Electabuzz. I'm not a fan of that. But otherwise, yeah. Oh, man. Now, when they introduced Necrozma, talk about game-changing. Necrozma is just, his design is so peak. He's so raw. His story is so raw. Like, this is a legendary or mythical, whatever classification he has. I think he's legendary. This is what I'm looking for, man. I love this guy, and I can't wait to do this. I wish I'd experienced this myself in the story. But his ability to fuse with them and get take on these dusk forms with them, yo, this is like, to me, even cooler than Kyurem's fusions from Gen 5. I loved it, and maybe it's like this armor plating. In fact, he's like this infectious being, but I think he's so awesome. I've seen so many ideas with lore behind him too that really enhance that for me. And Necrozma is just such a phenomenal piece of Gen 7. I think he's potentially my favorite thing or Pokemon to come out of this generation just because of what he did for the generation and Pokemon as a whole with his introduction. So lots of praise there. And then they decided to make him go into Ultra Necrozma, who I think his design is worse, but the premise is so sick. Like that Birds of the Sky, I mean, absolutely iconic. His strength is ridiculously crazy. Like, yes. You're still very sick, even if I like basic Necrozma's design better, but you're insane. Magearna, oh goodness, I gotta put you in S only because that Pokemon tabletop, I'm not gonna lie. But this thing's story, when we introduced Magearna as a character into the story, it was just so phenomenal. Other than that, I do like its typing and I do like its design. I will definitely say I do like the Steel Fairy. I think it's very fun and could be very good in Pokerogue, even though I haven't used it on this guy yet. But Steel Fairy, or I haven't used this guy specifically yet, but Steel Fairy is very powerful, very strong, very cool, and there's enough about this Pokemon and the tiniest question marks of lore we get on it that I can safely put in Glorious King. Obviously, Marshadow, let's be real. I mean, this thing is just a small little ghost fighter. I like his art. He's popular in the Pokemon card game right now. I'm actually using a deck with him in it right now, as potentially annoying as he is. He was introduced as like this kind of little surprise, and while I'm not really sure how mythical he feels, he's cool, and I would definitely use him in any opportunity without really questioning it, so heck yeah. You guys, the anime might change my mind, but no strong feelings. You're Naganadel, right? So who, no, yeah, Nihilego and Naganadel, yeah, Naganadel. Cool typing. I do think the anime might have sold me. Anime or getting to use this guy could easily take them to A or S, but off just appearance, it's close, maybe B+, but not quite in the strong suit yet. Statakataka, you're also in B. Actually, no, I just generally don't like this. It's not very offensive. I don't care too much for the defense style of it. I would certainly put it in my least favorite of the Ultra Beast, confidently. It's okay, and also you have a hard name to say for a child, kind of. Not really. Maybe I'm just dumb, but you get it. Lycephalon, actually A. Again, kind of similar with these three. I want to use them. I want to see if they have some more potential. I want to see if they can get elevated. I love his typing.
and the whole clown thing he has going on is actually really cool to me. So give me a little bit of something to work with these three, and we could have something serious cooking. His Aeriora, easy S. Electric type, his design is so damn raw. Speedy, hard hitter. They did put him in Unite too, where he's pretty cool. He's just got it like that. He has no lore, was dropped randomly, and I can't explain why, but he got the moves. And Meltan and Melmetal, you're an A, very close at this point. I had some good experience with them, like in the card game. They're very fun. I love Melmetal's design, for instance, and its typing is cool as a steel type. Really love his design, I gotta say again, just double check on that. But he's not quite there, but let me get a couple more uses with him, a couple more, especially if it's an actual game, and I could see him get elevated. So, that being said, this is my list for Gen 7. Zoom out so you guys can get the full picture here. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Comment your thoughts down below. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more. We're aiming for 400 subscribers, and we are so close. Every last subscriber counts. We are like 17 away or something like that. So please consider joining. Come back tomorrow. Check out the Poke Rogue video, at least part 1 if it's going to have 2 parts, if we do really good. If not, maybe it'll be the run itself. Who knows exactly how it'll go. But come check that out tomorrow. Lots of fun, and I'm looking forward to using some mod from this lineup. That's going to be very fun to me. So yeah, and without further ado, there should be a video you'll see on your screen in a second that YouTube thinks you would like the best. So go check that out if you want to see more from me. Otherwise, have a great rest of your nights, days, evenings, mornings, whatever times you're watching this. And thank you so much for watching. Voltage out.